told you once, and I'll tell you twice. The way I feel, here's my advice. I told you once, and I'll tell you twice. The way I feel, here's my advice.
Hey, welcome to episode 10 of Shakedown. Now, I've been away for a while now, and it's wrong. I have been busy, and I have been trying to rattle my head about what I'm going to be speaking about during this episode, because this is a milestone. This is 10 episodes. 10 whole episodes where I didn't actually think at first that this would actually grow into anything. Several people gave me the idea, and I said to myself, okay, how do I go about this thing? How do I make it successful? I mean, there's other people out there that's actually made it big and successful because they probably put a lot of hard work into it. They put a lot of method into what they're saying and how they're going to say it. And I just wanted to do this on the basis where I can get my feelings and my thoughts across and hopefully get some sort of reaction from people. So I want to thank everybody that has been listening onto this show for the past few months or so. It's been good so far that, a lot of people have actually listened to what I had to say. It's not growing in numbers, but I want it to. And that's the direction where I want it to go. And I am really am appreciative of everybody that's been listening so far. So, like I said, I've been working, and it's been taking over my life lately. It's not a bad thing because this is life. You have to kind of work to get your money, and you have to do the best that you can to stay focused on it and develop yourself even more further. And that's me personally, and how I want to develop my life and how I want to go going forward. So that's really what I've been up to. But I have been watching the World Cup. Now, as you know, I am a football fan. I am an Arsenal fan. Don't get me started. I'm not going to talk about Arsenal, but I am going to be talking about England. So far, so good. It's been good, There's been less expectations on the boys to do well in this World Cup. I didn't really have a lot of faith going into this thing because you never know what's going to happen. But results have been interesting. This World Cup has been sick. And when I say that, it's because the big teams aren't really producing what we all expect them to produce. They've been faltering. Even Germany's out of the World Cup. Germany knocked out. Germany, world champions. They are out. And it's kind of opened up the door. And the results have been really interesting because you got teams that's out there producing, and they want to do well in this World Cup, to be able to be taken a bit seriously, to be a bit more competitive. But as of today now, we go into the knockout stages. It's a round of 16. You lose, you're out. It's as simple as that. And today it's Brazil and Argentina. And I'm just trying to get the fixtures for what's going to happen today. So as I said, it is Brazil and Argentina. That is a really tasty game. But then there's another tasty game that's coming up. Uruguay versus Portugal. Now, it's going to be a battle of the ages for one of these two teams to come out on top. It's going to be really insane to be honest. I am in awe of this World Cup. Seriously, I am. Totally in awe of it because it's obviously bring together a load of people together. But even if people didn't really like football, you can have a decent conversation. Even my own best friend has been calling me and talking to me about football. It's refreshing. He doesn't know a lot about football. Well, he knows some things, but not all things. But even my best friend's been talking to me about football. And I'm there thinking, where did this come from? Usually he wants to talk about wrestling, which is fine. I ain't got no problem with because I do keep on to watch wrestling, you know, and also it could be to do with films, but some things that I have not seen, but there's some things that I have seen. So it's nice for us to be able to talk about that in that essence, really. So yeah, like I've been speaking to a good amount of people, and talking to them about how they feel about this whole thing, how exciting it is to sit down and have a watch of those things, and it's kind of nice. But one thing that really I don't like about when I watch football with certain people, especially when they don't watch football often, is when they ask a load of questions to actually say, what's this? What's the offside? Why is this a throw-in? Why is that a red card? If they lose, what happens? If they win, what happens? All those sorts of things. But you have to educate them and everything. Just like everything else, you have to kind of be patient and talk to them and explain to them how it all works. But if you're a bona fide football fan, there's no point in that happening, because everybody's so focused on the game. They want to be focused on what they're talking about and everything else. So really and truly, that's really the unwritten rule of a football fan, if you like. But it's been good. Like, I think it brings together people. I think really the huge controversy that's surrounding right now is VAR, that's video assisted referee. And basically, it's really what it does. It says on the tin, basically, if there's any fouls or if there's any potential goals, that balls going over the line and that sort of thing, the video assisted referees can actually aid the referee that's on the pitch to make that decision. And basically, the referee on the field himself can actually go and see the videos to see if he's actually made the right decision or not. But the game needs to be called in correctly, and so far it's not been too bad, but it still needs to be perfected. And I think as time goes on, we will see it more in the Premier League, in La Liga, in Serie A. I think that's going to happen eventually, because it needs to be happening. Sepp Blatter, who's a former president of FIFA, he said that he didn't want this sort of thing involved in it, because really and truly it just defies the people to talk about it when they go to pubs, when they go to shopping and that sort of thing. And sometimes, you know, we could talk about all these sort of things that goes down for the ages and everything, but we need to have definitive decisions to change the course of the game. You know, things do change and anything can happen in football. And even though I love watching the World Cup and everything, this still does need work. VAR, it still does need a bit of work. Right, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to talk about the heat wave, the recent heat wave that we're having in this country, over here in the UK. And really what bothers me about people is when they keep on having to tell me, oh, it's too hot. It's really hot. I can't get out. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't handle the heat. I can't do anything. Well, to be honest, you know what I have to say to those people? Except the people that's actually got hay fever, that's allowed. If you have hay fever, if you have a condition where you can't go out into the sun too tough, then, you know, I suggest you just stay inside. But if you're one of those people that does like to have a bit of sunshine and moan about the cold weather, because there's people out there that will moan about the cold weather, why are you moaning for? We got good conditions outside. You need to take advantage of it. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. What you know, so it damages the gardening. It damages what the farmers do on the farms. You know, not having the raining and everything else. So what? So what? A good little sunshine does cheer everybody up, and you should be able to spend the time with your loved ones, having a barbecue somewhere, or going out somewhere and enjoying it and everything. We're not blessed in this country with nice weather. We're not blessed with it. We would have this thing for about a couple of days or whatever, but this has been going on for literally the past 4 days ish, right? And the bad weather will come in a few months from now. It's gonna be cold weather. We're all gonna be hibernating. We're all gonna have worries about switching energy suppliers and whatnot. So why not enjoy it? Like, if I'm out on holiday, I'm not moaning about the weather. I've lived in hot countries. I lived in Jamaica, so I'm not really too bothered about the heat and everything. And I just think that people need to go out there and just enjoy it. Stop moaning. Why people would say it's too hot, it's too hot, it's too hot. Like, you know, if you feel that way, then you shouldn't really be moaning about things. This is life. Life has a few blessings, and this is one of them. So I suggest, right, go outside and enjoy it. Go out and really enjoy it. Have fun. Wear nice clothes. Pick out your maxi dresses for the ladies. Bring out the shorts for the men. Like, I've seen men walking around shirtless, even out on the street and everything. And kind of, to be honest, it does kind of look bad, but it's what it is. Like, I don't really do that when I go on holiday as well. But I just tend, when I'm going at the beach or when I'm near a pool, fair enough, my shirt's off. But if I'm going on in public, it's not happening. There's a sense of decorum with me. I don't know about every other man, but that's just me. So I just think, you know, we have to thrive on it. We all have to thrive on it, men and women, you know, and children, and just enjoy it. So the final thing that I'm going to be talking about is the Windrush celebration, or the generation, should I say? And I was like, you know something, it's really interesting because my mother and I recently went to the Library of Birmingham, and they had the Windrush celebration. Well, the celebration, but it just talked about the generation. And we went in there, and it was a small exhibition, and it had photos, and it had antiques, and it had interesting things. I'm reading about what's happening with the Windrush generation, and it kind of brought back so many memories. My grandparents came over here, and they settled here. My grandparents settled up in Handsworth, and they lived around the corner from each other. That's literally how my parents met. So, but in my grandparents' generation, there was a lot of things. There was a lot of barriers that they had to overcome. Dealing with racism, first of all, dealing with the fact of us not being able to identify ourselves as British, especially when we're bringing our own culture and bringing our own style into this country that make up the fabric of this country. And I just think that we as people need to kind of understand that now. I've been reading up about the Windrush scandal that's been going down in the recent news. And basically, there's been people been thrown out the country, people been illegally here, and they've been sent back to the country years and years and years later. I was damned by this, or as a black person, I was completely damned by it. Or basically, what it says here, from November 2017, newspapers reported that the British government had threatened to deport those from the Commonwealth territories who arrived in the UK before 1973 if they could not prove their right to remain in the UK. Now, although this is identified primarily as the Windrush generation and mainly from the Caribbean, it was estimated in April that, based on figures provided by the Migration Observatory at the University of Oxford, that up to 27,000 Commonwealth migrants could be affected, of whom 15,000 were from Jamaica alone. So in addition, from those of the Caribbean, cases of other people have been affected in people like places like in Kenya, in Cyprus, in Canada. They were identified in the press as well. So the press coverage accused the Home Office agencies of operating a guilty and proven innocent, deport first, appeal later regime, targeting the weakest groups, inhumanely applying regulations by cutting off access to jobs, services and bank accounts, while cases were still being investigated of losing numbers of original documents which proved their right to remain, making unreasonable demands of documentary proof. In some instances, elderly people have been asked for documents each year they had lived in the UK. So yeah, I'm looking at that now, and it's like, whoa. So it's like, I feel sorry for those people that was living here that has to go back and deport back into Jamaica or wherever else in the Caribbean or the countries. And I'm sitting down here and thinking to myself, right, that these people came and they settled, and they have to go back having to start all over again. It's wrong. It is really, really wrong. And I just feel generally sorry. I know that the government are trying to get down to the bottom of it, but it just feels like it's just a little bit of a too little too late kind of thing. There should have been a plan from the beginning when people were coming over here to live, to work, for them to have the right documents so that they prove that they can actually stay here. Now, my grandparents were actually very lucky because they did everything possible. And I remember my mother told me about how my grandparents sort of got everything together, and they had everything that they needed to have so that they could actually settle and work and to build up my family and everything else. Yes, I'm totally grateful for my grandparents, but I also feel for the people that has to deport back to Jamaica, back to other countries because of this issue. Nobody should be stopped to go to somewhere else to go and live, providing that they have everything that they need to prove that they could actually go ahead and do that. Now, it's kind of sad because, you know, as being a British person, a black British man of Jamaican descent, I sit here and I think to myself how proud I am of my culture, but also of how much we'd had to go far to actually get ourselves noticed. Now, it's like Samira in Love Island. At the moment, everybody's getting a bit. Everybody is. I don't watch Love Island, but have heard about this issue about people of color being involved in this sort of thing, and too much often we don't get noticed, or we don't get enough people of ethnic minorities joining these kind of shows and whatnot. And there should be more of a diverse level of representation throughout Britain. And it's not right that we only see 1 to 2 black and Asian minorities in TV shows. Like, where's there should be more. There should be more. We should be well represented. We shouldn't have people that's only going to come through the ranks, you know, little by little, and we're going to get nowhere, you know. And as a man myself, as a black man myself, I know that I don't have a lot of heroes that I could actually look up to as a black person. There's very few that's actually think, you know what, that person's done bits. But a lot of time we're being stereotyped, and that can't go on no more. And I think that we as men, all the men that's listening to me now, all the black and Asian minorities that are there listening, I think we all need to kind of do more to kind of represent ourselves. But at the same time, we're still not going to be taken a bit more seriously, and we should be. It's wrong. It's wrong with what happened with the Windrush generation. Some people are angry about it. I'm just hurt and ashamed of people that's actually made my grandparents and other people's lives worse, and they had to go through so much to be able to open up the doors for the likes of myself and other people out there. It's not right. So yeah, I just think to myself, right, that even though that this scandal and this inquiry is going on and everything, they still want paper over the cracks. You know, like a lot should have been done before. It shouldn't be talked about now. It should have been done before. It's not right. Right. So, on the lighter note, we have got an Extraordinary Person of the Week award, and then I tell you, this person really, I didn't want to get too political on this podcast before I should make that clear, and I just think I wanted to kind of talk about this person now. This person has actually said it all for everybody, and not many people kind of get to say, even me, but I'm gonna play you this clip, and this person was so funny, but yet so true, and it's gonna go to Danny Dyer. I'm just trying to get this up for you now, so that at least you can hear from the horse's mouth what I'm trying to talk about. And it was hilarious, but it needed to be said. And I'm just getting it up for you now in just a second. Right, he literally it kind of exploded. So I just think you guys need to hear this for yourself. So here we go.
Go back to this whole Brexit thing. When you're judging them on Brexit, they don't know nothing about it. Who knows about Brexit? Yeah, no one's got a fucking clue what Brexit is. Yeah, you watch Question Time. It's comedy.
Well, you know clearer when Jeremy Corbyn explained.
No, I ain't got the clue. No one knows what it is. It's like this mad riddle that no one knows what it is, right? So what's happened to that twat David Cameron who called it off? Let's be fair.
I
think you're referring to a former prime minister. Yeah, but how comes he could scuttle off? He called all this on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has no regrets.
Where is he? He's in Europe, in Nice, with his trotters up. Yeah. Where is the geezer? I think he should be held accountable for it. He should be held accountable for it.
It's a valid point. A lot of people do feel that all politicians on Brexit.
Yeah, so that was Danny Dyer's hilarious outburst, but it was so true, and he just kind of spoke from the heart and everything. He appeared on one-off edition of Good Evening Britain, and I didn't actually see all of it, and what he said just said it all. I'm not trying to get into this whole debate about Brexit and everything, but what he said kind of said it all with everybody. We thought that going into Brexit would be a good thing. Let me be clear. This is not me talking about going into political thing, but I'm just trying to state the facts here. So we thought that going into Brexit would be a good thing. We thought that, but the load of things that's gone on since the vote has been crazy, and it's been too much. Whether or not we're going to have a good deal with the EU, whether or not we can be in a single market, whether or not we can visit other countries without a visa or not, and I must say though, I'm being disappointed because the politicians didn't even inform us to say, if we come out of the EU, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what will we do. Now, we're a year away, supposedly a year away next year we're gonna be going into Brexit. A lot will change. The way that the trade's gonna be done. They were saying that expenses are cost of living is gonna go up. We're gonna have to find some way to kind of do things by ourselves. And as a man looking at that now, I'm just thinking to myself, personally, I'm trying to develop myself further. I want to be doing things in the next couple of years, and I do worry in the sense of what Brexit's gonna do to affect all that. Now, I can live, and I can go about my day, and I can go about doing what I need to do day after day, but when this thing happens, it's going to change everything, and it's going to change everybody. And Danny Dyer just said it all. And it's not just like I feel the anger that he does had. You know, David Cameron hasn't really came out and actually be able to discuss all this thing about what he was trying to do, and he hasn't really talked about it. He knew that if he had lost, he would walk out the job, but he never really explained it all to say this, that, the other. I thought in a way he could have been a good prime minister if he kind of stayed on a little bit longer, but he chose to step down, and we have to all live with the consequences of all of that stuff. And I do have a sense of patriotism, you know, towards this country. I am born a Brummie, you know, and I think that in one aspect we should have stayed, but there's another thing where we should be more involved in what's going to happen whether or not we're going to have a second referendum or not on this Brexit issue. It remains to be seen, but it's going to take a lot for things to change, and we already caught us in the ruffle feathers with everybody. This is such a huge issue. It's people's livelihoods. It's people's businesses. It's all these kind of things. And I'm not so sure if it's actually going to make things any better, but we'd have to wait and see how that happens. So, with that said, Danny Dyer, you are the most extraordinary person of the week award. And I will be back next week. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about England's game against Colombia. That will take place next week. I'm probably going to be doing it after the game. And also, I'm going to be talking about other things as well. We got... I've written down ideas about the next couple of episodes. I'm probably going to be speaking about breakups and divorce on a men's mindset to it all. I'm probably going to be talking about mindset on dating. I'm going to be talking about respect, because as men, why aren't there much respect when it goes out to the public? And it's not just to the other members of sex or the same sex, it's to general people. Why is it that men don't show enough of it? I'm also going to try to be talking about the recent violence in the streets. As you probably know, there's been knife crime, gun crime lately, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this issue. I'm also going to be talking about dealing with change. So a lot of change that happens to us men in our lives, and I want to talk about how we deal with it and how we don't deal with it, or how the universe kind of makes fate happen in front of us, you know. And also I'm going to be talking about fighting for yourself, you know, standing up for yourself. So I'm going to be talking about deeper issues. A lot more to come, but I'm going to try and make this a bit more regular. And I'm going to try to do my best to say to myself that, this podcast needs to grow. We need to kind of get ourselves out there. So if you like what you've heard, leave it in the comments below on YouTube. Don't forget, if you really want to reach me at all, I'm on social media. You can find me on Facebook, it's Theo Samuels. Twitter, it's Theo_Samuels. On Snapchat, it's tswoosh11. And also on Instagram, it's Theo Samuels11. So I'm all across social media. just give me your thumbs up or whatever kind of comment that you might have, or give me some ideas of what you would like me to talk about. It'll be much appreciated, because like I said, I want this podcast to really grow. I'm determined to actually make it succeed and reach to other people, and it's Shakedown. It's what it is. So in that essence, I will be speaking to you another time. In the meantime, though, enjoy the sun if you can. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, people.
I told you once, and I'll tell you twice. The way I feel, here's my advice. I told you once, and I'll tell you twice.